After failing to achieve his dream of becoming a royal magician, Alan is forced to work for the arrogant Duke Howard to train his daughter Tina, who can't even cast a single spell. Can he help her, or is there a deeper secret behind her lack of magic? Our new anime episode begins with a young man named Alan messaging his beloved Lydia. It was a surprising message, written while he was on a high-speed train heading north. No doubt the news has reached you, but it seems I've failed the royal magic exam. We then see a flashback with his professor, who says to him, "Alas, I never expected you, Alan, to fail. I don't think either the written or practical exam was an obstacle for you. Do you have any idea what happened?" Alan replies, "I don't know anything, but regardless, Professor, I'm sorry to say I can't afford to return to my family, and I need any vacant job so I can send them money and eventually go back to them. We are from a poor class." The professor then tells him he knows of a vacant position. An old friend of his is looking for someone to tutor his daughter, but only for the spring period. However, he will pay a generous salary. What do you think, Alan? Do you want to try? Alan is thrilled and says, "Anything, Professor. The important thing is just to work." At that very moment, the professor picks up the phone and says to his friend, "I've found the right person for you. He's that young man I never stopped talking about. Very intelligent, in fact, the smartest student of all time." The professor then explains to Alan that his student is the daughter of Duke Howard from one of the 4 great noble houses. Tina, the Duke's daughter, hopes to join the Royal Academy next spring. "I've bought you a ticket. It's ready now, and you'll depart at noon in a first-class carriage on the French train." Alan gets angry and says, "Professor, you've set me up. Perhaps you've been planning this from the beginning." The professor replies, "I wish you good luck, my friend." We return to the present, where the train is cutting through mountains and plains like a sword through a watermelon. Alan thinks to himself, the professor was so enthusiastic. I wonder what fate awaits me now. Alan finally disembarks where the weather is bitterly cold. After walking a short distance, he finds the head butler, Graham, waiting for him, along with a young girl who is a maid in training named Ellie. They get into the carriage, but it's cramped. Graham tells Ellie, "You must sit on Master Alan's lap." The girl is shocked and extremely embarrassed, but they do it in the end, so they can get going. Ellie is shivering from the cold. Alan gives her his scarf, and then uses a powerful magic spell to warm the interior of the carriage, as if it were a heater. After an hour, they finally arrive at Duke Howard's mansion. Something strange happens here. Alan says, "I apologize, madam." Ellie is surprised and asks him, "How did you know I was still a maid?" He replies, "Come on, I understand things immediately. You don't look like a maid to me. You're not wearing a headband, and your clothes don't suit you. I think you borrowed an outfit in a hurry. Besides, that white ribbon in your hair is embroidered with gold thread. I've only seen a very few like it." Even in the royal capital, the princess is embarrassed and quickly goes inside. This means, my friends, that it wasn't Ellie, but her real name is Tina. As for the real Ellie, the maid, she almost fell silent, but Alan catches her just in time, pats her head, calms her down, and says, "It's okay." The butler, or head butler, says to him, "What a clever boy you are. You can handle things. But my lord is waiting for you inside." After that, Alan meets Duke Howard. The Duke thanks him for coming such a long distance. Alan introduces himself, and the Duke also says, "I am Walter Howard. When I consulted the professor about a teacher for my daughter, he told me you were the right man for the job. I think you've heard about the matter, so I look forward to seeing your work." Alan replies, "Yes, sir, I can do it. The professor told me I would be tutoring Miss Tina." Walter puts his hand on his head and says, "Perhaps the foolish professor provided you with incorrect information. But don't worry, I truly wish to employ you as her private tutor. However, your mission is to make her abandon the idea of joining the academy. It's best I start by telling you a little about the Howard lineage." He then explains, "You know about the 4 great ducal houses?" Alan replies, "Yes, I know them well. Due to their great contributions to the founding of the kingdom, these houses were granted vast lands in the 4 directions, and each duke still protects his land to this day." Walter says, "Bravo. You've understood me and everything perfectly. We also have great strength in combat, but that ends with me. My wife passed away when Tina was very young, and I was left with only my 2 daughters. The elder, Stella, joined the Royal Academy, but I cannot claim she is talented in magic. I doubt she will ever be able to master our family's heritage and the great incantation. My younger daughter, Tina, has no magical talent whatsoever. She has mana, but she is unable to cast the simplest spell. A number of famous mages examined her, but no one could explain her condition." Alan thinks, "I haven't heard of a similar case before. Perhaps it will be very difficult." Walter tells him, "Yes, because she wants to learn anything in the arts, especially martial arts, because she realizes she's useless. But let's stop talking. It will be faster if you see this for yourself when you deal with her." They then go outside, and her father says, "Tina grows these plants. After reading my late wife's books, she began to study her mother's methods in this land. Tina's research is a real treasure for the duchy, and I want her to stay here to complete her research." Alan then speaks, "Sir, I understand your point of view, but perhaps she should choose for herself. If she can master magic to a level suitable for the Royal Academy, that's very good. And if she wishes to join after that, will you allow her?" Walter thinks, then says, "Yes, I will allow it." And now, it's time for lunch. Everyone eats. The lunch was very delicious. Afterwards, Tina and her maid enter and introduce themselves. Then, the king requests that Ellie be placed under Alan's supervision and command, as they also wish for her to enroll in the academy. Miss Ellie apologizes, saying she would be a burden since she isn't skilled in magic. Alan then asks her what she wants to do, and she replies that she will do whatever he asks. He then asks if she would like to enroll in the Royal Academy with Miss Tina, and she strongly agrees because she loves Tina very much and is her personal maid, a black cat, the personal cat of the professor who recommended Alan for this job. Enters, delighting both girls. The next day, Alan begins his lesson with Tina. Before starting, he informs her that she will be taking a written entrance exam composed of 3 parts, a written test, a personal interview, and a practical magic exam. Both girls think the exam sounds very difficult, but Alan reassures them. He hands Tina the exam paper and tells her to do her best. Later that day, Alan corrects the exam and notes that Tina's intelligence rivals that of Lydia, the eldest, daughter of Duke Lancaster, the protector of the South Kingdom. Despite being known as the Sword Lady, Lydia is also academically brilliant, having graduated from the Royal Academy and University ahead of their class. Her magical power is also impressive, and she has mastered the Great Phoenix spell academically. At least, Tina is her match. He then returns the corrected exam to Tina, who is overjoyed to find all her answers are correct. Alan tells her that she is indeed qualified to pass the written exam, and he believes she might achieve the highest score, especially with her exceptional essays. However, he emphasizes that they must now focus on practical magic training, starting today. He encourages her not to be sad, but to be cheerful, as she won't know what she can do until she tries. Tina recalls that she has tried many times and failed, and had many teachers before him who never succeeded with her, disappointing them all. Alan reassures her, telling her he was once like her. Tina is very surprised, as she's heard everyone, especially the professor, praise him. He explains that his mana quantity is much lower than the general average. He believes they only accepted him at the university because they thought he was good at managing Lydia Neville. He knows how harsh the Royal Academy can be, with demanding and strict lessons and half the students not graduating on time. Before they begin their lessons, he asks her one thing: do you truly wish to join the Royal Academy? Tina confirms her strong desire. She loves plants, and as a child, her mother used to read her picture books. She was always fascinated by the great spells used by heroes in legends and wished to master such spells one day. Alan tells her that no one can currently use the great spells, but if you have the will, my dear, and continue to progress, you will achieve the impossible. Tina is very happy with this encouragement. Then, Ellie enters, and as usual, almost stumbles, carrying candles. But Alan catches her before the candles fall to the ground, using a specific spell. As Alan catches Ellie, Tina becomes very jealous, saying they are too close and it's inappropriate. Alan then begins discussing basic elemental magic with them. Tina states that the elements of magic are fire, water, wind, earth, lightning, light, and darkness. Everyone is born with a natural affinity for one of these 7 elements, which determines their strength or weakness. He asks her about the Howard family's affinity, and she replies that they are attuned to water and wind and can combine them to use ice magic. Alan tells her that this answer is only half correct. He explains that his affinity, when he cast the spell to regulate the temperature in the carriage yesterday, combined 3 elements: fire, water, and wind. Fire and water are opposing forces, so this went against the theory of affinity. This is just my own theory, but I don't believe in a natural element that humans are born with. All these things are acquired. He then asks Ellie what types of spells she can perform. She says she can use fire and wind magic. Alan tells her, in that case, light one of the candles. She tries and succeeds. Alan encourages and thanks her, then asks her to try using wind magic on the candle flame. She does, but the flame doesn't extinguish. Alan is very pleased and tells her that if she can already use 2 types of magic, her future is bright. Next, Tina tries to light the candle. Alan analyzes all her movements and finds them perfect, but ultimately, she fails. She gets discouraged. Alan tells her, there's no need to be sad. You'll learn soon enough, but don't rush. Allow me to give you a demonstration. You will learn to do this yourselves. He then casts a spell on all the candles, and a different colored flower emerges from each candle, surprising everyone. Alan thinks to himself, this isn't difficult once you get used to it. I was once called a hopeless case too. Afterwards, we see Lydia reading Alan's letter, where he tells her he will be staying with the Howard family until spring. He asks her to pray that he can prove his worth without problems. However, Lydia gets very angry and says she won't forgive him. This concludes our first episode of this wonderful anime. Wait for us in upcoming episodes, and please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all new updates.
Our episodes today begin with Master Alan, who we learn has been sent to teach the Duke's son, one of the most powerful nobles in the kingdom. The Duke needed a private tutor for his daughter, Tina, who couldn't cast a single spell. Will Alan be able to help Tina overcome her magical deficiency? This is what we'll find out together, so stay tuned. Master Alan asks a question: why can people use magic? Tina asks permission to answer and says, because we possess mana, and we've mastered its use through research and effort. Alan then says, her answer is correct. Scientific research has evolved and the number of magic users has increased, but the number of those capable of casting advanced spells decreases year after year. Ducal families have become synonymous with their super spells. We have the Firebird, the Frostwolf, the Storm Dragon, and the Thunder Tiger. However, very few of those alive can execute them, and their powers are continuously declining. Tina is surprised as if 2 centuries of research and reform have passed since the Demon King's war. She asks, has all that been in vain? The master informs her that it wasn't in vain, but they actually sacrificed quality for quantity. He believes that humanity's ability to use magic comes from the help of unseen elemental spirits. Tina believes experiments have disproven this theory because fire spells don't increase in power near volcanoes, where fire spirits are supposedly dominant. In some cases, water spells even increased in power instead. Master Alan is pleased that she is so knowledgeable and tells her, we cannot trust those experiments if we cannot verify the spirit's power. Perhaps elements don't matter much to the spirits, but most of the magic formulas used today were designed to summon only one element. Then they begin practical training. The master asks Ellie to use another type of magic, since she can cast fire and wind spells. She tries her best, but to no avail. The master asks her to try again, and she does, succeeding this time. Now, it's Tina's turn. She tries to cast the spell but fails, just like before. The master encourages her and asks her to try again, but she fails once more and feels deep frustration and sadness. In the evening, we see Alan in the library, his lamp lit as he searches for a book. He is very happy and says that most of these books could be national treasures. He believes Tina undoubtedly has mana, but something is preventing her spells from activating. He is determined to find something here that sheds light on the reason. Suddenly, someone opens the door. Alan quickly extinguishes his lamp. We see Alan and a maid. Tina heads to the library, searches for a book, and takes one related to magic sciences. She loves to study and delve into books. The maid asks her, tell me about your teacher. Tina replies that he's a very kind teacher, but he has a mischievous side. The maid asks Tina to leave, saying she will close the place. She follows Tina. The maid then calls out, I know you're here. At this, Master Alan emerges, surprised that she managed to discover him. She tells him, I am the head maid of this palace, and my name is Shelley Walker. Please forgive my rudeness, but there's something I must ask of you concerning Miss Tina. She is a very intelligent and diligent girl, but all her previous teachers ignored her efforts and left simply because she lacked magical ability. Their departure pained her and she cried in secret, but she never gave up her dream of attending the Royal Academy. After you arrived, Master, she was overjoyed and admires you and Lady Lydia greatly. Please help her. Alan reassures her and promises to do everything in his power. The scene then shifts to Master Alan with the girls. Tina is very angry because the Master was walking with Ellie. The Master informs her, I was just helping her pick vegetables. Tina becomes very angry with Ellie and starts arguing with her. The Master begins to calm them down, telling them they look like sisters. He then tells them they will continue their training later. A little later, they start practical training again. They place their hands on a cat, and Tina feels mana flowing within her. The Master informs her that she has succeeded in the dark mana experiment. Then Ellie begins to activate this spell, and tries it on candles, but she cannot. The Master says, there's no need for me if you could master it on the first try. It's Tina's turn, and she tries the spell, but cannot. She is frustrated, but the Master tells her to be patient and not let it affect her. Then the Master shows them the spell, and he manages to produce a cat in his hand. They are both very happy and want to touch it, but before they can quarrel, the Master produces a cat for each of them and gives it to them. In the evening, a letter arrives from Master Alan from Lydia. The content of her letter is that she is angry because he went to the Howard estate, and she has met Tina many times without success. Even you will find it difficult to solve. And of course, you might succeed if you do that thing, but that's highly unlikely, and don't even think about trying it with anyone else. I know you've been hiding something from me. How long have you been hiding things from your mistress? But it's all right. I'll see you at the Royal Academy exam, and if you run, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth, cut you up and burn what's left of you. He won't demand a letter every day, but at least once a week. After finishing the letter, his maid asks him what Lady Lydia wanted from him. He tells her it's because he doesn't write to her enough. The maid is very happy, thinking Lydia cares for him a lot and must feel lonely without him. Alan replies that he doesn't think the reason is as sweet as she says. Afterward, he begins training the maid, Ellie, and Tina in using magic. He observes that the new magical formula is starting to bear fruit, with Ellie showing more progress. When Tina uses her magic, a piece of ice emerges. That night, Alan sits among his books, pondering Tina's spell. It stops just before activation. If modern theories fail, he'll delve into ancient records. Alan then leaves his room and is met by the maid, who asks him to call her by her name without formalities, as she is his maid. Alan agrees, but asks her not to enter his room at this time of night. He then asks her what she wants. Ellie thanks him for what he's doing for her, and says that her grandparents asked for her some time ago. She knows they love her more than anyone in the world, not just because she reminds them of their deceased daughter and husband, but because she is family. He embraces her tightly. Since then, Ellie has felt a strange sensation, as the embrace was so sudden that she wanted to know the reason. She was told that her grandparents had a talk with Alan about her. Alan replies that all he did was give them a small piece of advice. He then recalls meeting Ellie's grandfather, who asked him to take care of her, as she is talented but struggles to fully utilize her abilities. Therefore, to face things confidently, he asked them to tell her how much she means to them, as having a loving family is her greatest support. His own family had been his support in many situations. Allie is slightly touched and tells him that she lost her parents when she was young and moved here because the Howard family took her in. She still remembers the day she arrived at this house, where a small girl tried to follow her wherever she went. This little girl is Lady Tina, who also lost her mother around that time. Alan must be worried, as both of them are of the same temperament. Ellie is the heir to the Walker name, but none of her actions succeed. Before she knew it, Lady Tina had surpassed her by leaps and bounds at the academy. Ellie feared there would be no place for her, so she mustered her courage and asked the Lord to allow her to enter the Royal Academy as well. Alan congratulates her on what she did, saying it's fine to forge her own path. She is a very brave and talented girl, and she's not alone. Everyone is by her side. Afterward, we see Ellie using her power to light candle flames. Alan asks her to use the other magical elements. Ellie tells him she's a little afraid of lightning and light. She wants their help, and if they help her, she will master them very soon. Alan is very happy with her progress, saying she's doing wonderfully and might soon be ready for magical duels. Then it's Tina's turn. When she tries to use her power, she fails to ignite the flames. Alan reassures her that they still have plenty of time. He tells her to repeat a different spell formula, as they have no choice but to continue testing hypotheses. Later, Alan goes to the king and informs him that Tina's mana reserves are immense, but he cannot guarantee her readiness to pass the exam. He asks that she not be allowed to apply, as he doesn't think she should be allowed to enroll even if she can't use magic. The academy will consider her academic brilliance. The king replies that he understands, but aristocratic society never makes things easy, and he knows this well. A girl from the Howard family without magic would become a target for fools at the academy, and he doesn't want Tina to suffer anymore. If her situation doesn't change, then Alan should do as he asked. Alan tries to speak with him, but the king refuses and tells him that he relies on him completely. The scene then shifts to Tina, who is trying to use magic again but fails. Alan comes to her and asks if she would like company while she trains. She agrees. As she continues to use her magic, Alan thinks to himself that he cannot understand the situation at all. The spell formula has been disappearing quickly recently, to the point where he cannot analyze it. He almost believes that something is rejecting these spells, but he hasn't found any flaw in their formulas. He doesn't know why her spells aren't activating. There must be a way to help her. Afterward, Alan goes to sleep and wakes up in the morning, but he is very exhausted from staying up late. When he leaves his room, he finds Tina asleep at the table, having trained until late. She wakes up when she senses Alan and then looks at the book in his hand, understanding that he is reading it for her. She tells him that she knows he's been staying up late reading, so much so that he didn't even have breakfast this morning. She also knows he invents new spell formulas for her every day and helps her with her training. Alan asks her not to worry, saying he loves reading and enjoys modifying formulas. However, this morning, he's uncharacteristically tired. Tina becomes very sad because she believes he should be more angry and blame her more for not succeeding in using magic. She feels incapable of casting any spell because she lacks talent. Alan tries to calm her, but she continues to cry, feeling like she can't do anything. She then expresses that she respects him very much and loves him very much, and she loves Ellie more, but whenever he praises Ellie in front of her and whenever she sees Ellie progressing more than her, dark feelings rise within her. Suddenly, a large aura of mana appears around Tina. Alan doesn't understand what's happening, and so, today's episode ends. If you liked the video, please like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Our episode today begins with Master Alan and his student Tina. Tina is very sad and cries because she can't cast spells correctly. Suddenly, an enormous amount of energy bursts from her, filling the place like a snowstorm. Alan calls out to her, but she doesn't hear him. She has completely lost control of her raging power. If Alan doesn't stop her, her life will be in danger. Alan asks Ellie to go and get Mr. Graham, and he activates a spell to nullify the effect of this snowstorm. But unfortunately, it's in vain. Perhaps I have no choice but to brace myself and merge my energy with hers to control it, even though I never wanted to do it again, Alan thinks. He calls out to Tina, and this time she hears him. We find her trapped in this icy place, completely unaware of what's happening outside. The master asks her to calm down and listen to him. Your magical energy is raging now, and if this continues, you will run out and may lose your life. I will now attempt to save you. I will link my magical energy with yours now so I can regain control of your power. Although it's not comfortable, please allow me to link our energies. The master truly begins to link his magical energy with hers, risking his life to save her. He searches for her and finds her, unable to believe she possesses such an enormous amount of power. Her latent abilities rival Lydia's, perhaps even surpassing them. He then hears her saying, grumbling, "Why can't I use magic? I'm just a useless cursed child in the Howard family. I wish I had never been born." These thoughts flood Master Alan's mind. The master calls out to her because she has despaired greatly of life. She hears him, and then a large, snowy bird resembling a phoenix flies above her. The master is surprised and notices that the storm has weakened, and perhaps she is trying to help him, even with greatly diminished abilities from her original state. At this moment, he uses a firebird spell and frees her from the icy cage she was in. He goes to her to check on her and embraces her, very happy that she is safe, thank God. Then the snowy phoenix says, flying above, "I finally met a key," and then it vanishes. The master asks her, "Did you see or hear anything in the storm, Tina?" She tells him, I didn't hear anything but your voice, Master, but the feeling of being linked to you is very strange. He tells her, I had forgotten that we are still linked, and he breaks the link. The Master tells her, let's go get Ellie now, she must be worried. Tina refuses and says, Master, keep hugging me, you are my only master. Ellie and Mr. Graham arrive and are relieved to find Tina in the best condition. Alan remembers when Lydia told him, don't even think about trying this fusion with anyone else but me. He thinks, I need to come up with a good excuse now so she won't be upset. Suddenly, Master Alan faints and they take him to bed, very worried about him. Alan wakes up and tells them, no need to worry about me, I'm fine. But that was strange. When I link with someone, I can't help but share their thoughts and feelings. Tina says, I remember that you called me Sumaha inside, didn't you? What's your explanation for that? Tina then gets very angry. I told you not to call me Sumaha. That's strictly forbidden. The Master, very happy, tells her, I've noticed a few things about this ability. I can control the power of the person I'm linked to, and their will affects the amount of energy I can use. After I create a link with someone, it becomes easier to reestablish the link later. I've done this before and linked my energy with my sister Lydia. I had no other choice at the time. Draining magical energy means holding another's life in your hands. This power can be dangerous, as it allows me to use others' energy as I wish, and should never be used recklessly. So please, Tina, let this remain a secret between us and don't tell anyone, not even Ellie. She promises him she will. On another note, Master Alan is seen reading a book, searching for that creature hidden within Tina and its connection to her. After that, Mr. Graham takes them to the new place, where they will train their magic from now on. Alan is very happy with it and asks Tina to try activating the spell on the candles now. She freezes the candles, and the ice reaches the top of the place and pierces through it. Everyone is astonished by this immense power. Alan believes that what is inside Tina has affected these results, and it seems it no longer hinders her spells. Perhaps because I linked my magical powers, some of my control over magic leaked into her. The Master thanks her for being able to cast the spell for the first time. And now, let's begin learning how to control the power of spells. She cries with joy and hugs the Master, finally able to use magic. The Master encourages her, saying, You are an amazing girl, Tina. Ellie is also very happy for her. The Master reassures her that, with a little more training, she'll be able to control her magic much more freely. And when you reach that stage, you'll be ready for the Royal Academy. I must inform Mr. Walter about this immediately. Graham tells him that Mr. Walter is on an official mission and won't be back soon. The scene then shifts to Alan, who is writing this letter to his dear teacher, the 6th most indebted faculty member due to gambling. He writes, It's been a long time. Some scoundrel sent me to the snow-covered north. We then cut to this teacher, who has received Alan's letter. A boy enters, and the teacher says that Alan described him as the 6th most indebted teacher due to gambling. The boy laughs heartily and they read the letter together. It says that Miss Tina has successfully cast the spell, and based on that, please send military grape ice-resistant barrier scrolls as soon as possible, because otherwise your dear student will become an ice statue before you see her again. The teacher says, but transferring military supplies is not easy. Yet, no one would have thought he'd awaken Sumaha's magical talent. The scene then shifts to Alan reading a book, but after all this searching he hasn't found a single clue. He then searches another book and finds the same mark he sees every time, as if someone anticipated what he would want to study. He then goes to Ellie to try a dark magic spell. Ellie tries, but fails. Alan asks her to try and form a clearer image in her mind. She should remember what she felt when she touched Anko, and conjure the flow of mana and the effect it had on her. Ellie focuses on this and succeeds remarkably in using the dark spell. Alan congratulates her on what she did. Now it's Tina's turn. Tina tries her best to ignite fires and she succeeds, but her magical energy is still very strong and she needs to focus her mind and restrain this power. Alan talks to Ellie and tells her that Tina is making steady progress, and they should now move on to combat training. Tina tells him that she feels he's giving Ellie special treatment, and she wants him to treat her the same way he treats Ellie. Alan tells her there's no room for coddling in magic training. Tina gets very upset. Alan tells her that he has to be strict with her, because every time she casts a spell, she destroys the ceiling. Alan talks to himself, feeling that Tina is starting to resemble someone, his teacher. He hasn't received a message from her since their last one, and he doesn't know what happened to her. When Tina saw him distracted, she asked him what was wrong and what he was thinking, but Alan didn't answer them. After that, we see Ellie training with a servant, trying to hit them with her power but failing. Alan tells her not to make unnecessary movements. She trains herself daily to improve her service to Tina's household. We then see Ellie trying harder and harder, and Alan tells her to keep going. Then it's Tina's turn. Tina tries again. Before she does anything, Alan asks her to reduce her power a little more. Tina tells him it's difficult for her. The scene then moves to Alan and Ellie's grandfather, who tells him that both girls are progressing beautifully, especially Miss Tina, but he never underestimates Ellie. He then thanks Alan and tells him he's unable to express his gratitude for him trying to make Ellie strong. Alan tells him that all the credit goes to them and their effort. He then talks to him about Mr. Walter and asks if he's been able to meet him recently. Ellie's grandfather tells him that he's very busy. Alan suspects he's avoiding him, as he doesn't know how Mr. Walter feels about Tina learning magic. He then asks the grandfather to answer his question honestly, and this question is about the books in the archive. He has found several books with the same mark on the last page, and he wants to know what this is and who it belongs to. The servant replies that he knows nothing. Alan returns to his room to search the books again, starting with the books that bear that mark, and perhaps the secret of Tina's magic lies among them. He then remembers the key that was found but doesn't know what to do with it. Does this key refer to Tina? Because it can't be him, he's just an ordinary commoner. At that moment, Tina and Ellie come into his room because they can't sleep, and Tina was the one who entered Ellie's room because she was scared of the book she was reading. Alan tells them it's very late and they should sleep. Lack of sleep will affect their training tomorrow, but they refuse and sit with him, drinking warm tea. Alan asks them to return to their rooms after they finish drinking and try not to make noise because he has research to complete. Indeed, Alan goes among his books. All the books with that mark share something, but he doesn't know what it is. He really wants to help the girls join the Royal Academy together. The next morning, the servant comes to Alan and tells him that Mr. Walter wants to meet him. Alan agrees and then asks the girls to take a short break as soon as he returns. Alan enters Mr. Walter's presence, and Mr. Walter tells him that after long consideration, he has decided that Tina will not take the entrance exam. Alan is shocked, because he is sure, and assures him that Miss Tina will pass the test with flying colors. Mr. Walter doesn't care about what he says, and then tells him that he can't thank him enough for what he has accomplished with them, and never expected Tina to be able to practice magic. She has already learned to cast spells, but she still lacks experience, and even if she passes the test, she will be a burden on everyone at the academy. Alan tells him that he wrote in his reports that Miss Tina has mastered her magical energy in the past few days. Mr. Walter replies that this is not the only problem, and he must forget about it. It has nothing to do with him. He feels sorry for putting him in this situation, and of course, he will reward him generously. Alan tries to talk to him and tells him that he respects him very much, but sees nothing. This matter doesn't concern him alone, as Miss Tina's mother and Duchess Rosa have their own desires as well. Mr. Walter gets angry and tells him how a stranger like him could know what his wife wanted. Alan replies that one look in their archive was enough. The books on ice magic bear the same owner's mark, which is Duchess Rosa's mark. She must have hoped that he would help develop her magical talents and had faith that, if she couldn't do it, someone would do the task on her behalf. This mark is proof of that. He then opens the book and shows him the mark. Then he tells Mr. Walter that he knows best how much effort and longing Tina has put into this, so he wants him to reconsider his decision. He doesn't know his motives, but he begs him to think about it again. As for his impudence, he is ready to bear the consequences. Mr. Walter asks him to raise his head. He is too kind and doesn't want Tina to give up her dream, but he agrees on one condition. Tina must take a final test. If she succeeds, he will allow her to apply for the Royal Academy entrance exam. Alan goes to Tina and Ellie and tells them what happened. Tina asks him what she needs to do in this final test. He tells her that Mr. Walter wanted to test her abilities himself, but doesn't have time, so he will appoint a skilled magician to fight her on his behalf, and they will fight a real battle. He then asks the two girls not to worry because he is completely confident that they will succeed, and he is very proud of them. Tina is touched. They love him very much. In the blink of an eye, training begins immediately. Thus ends today's episode. If you like the video, please like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Our episode begins today with Alan training the girls, especially the very strong maid. They surround him, attempting to ambush him, but he easily evades. However, his foot gets stuck in ice due to a trick Tina played on him. Alan praises them, saying, "Bravo, you've improved a lot. That makes me happy, but it's not that easy." He then uses fog power, and they see nothing. He tricks and defeats them in that round, but congratulates them on their brilliance, saying, "It made him very happy. But you still have a lot to learn," he tells them. "For your final test, you'll face a wizard chosen by Tastenbur himself. He might resort to using advanced spells against you. You must confront him with all your strength. Tina, keep working on controlling your power. There isn't much time left until the exam. I'll spend this time teaching you everything you need. That's enough for today. Go back to your rooms." Afterward, they take a hot bath and talk about how strong Alan is and how he's dedicated to his work. They'll both go to the Royal Academy together, possessing great power, all thanks to Alan, their dedicated and patient teacher. Then something strange happens. Ellie gets dizzy. Alan quickly treats her, telling her, "Don't stay in the bath too long again, or a djinn might possess you, or a demon might get a hold of you." He used to use this same phrase with his sister Karin, who loved to care for her hair. Now she studies at the academy, so she'll be their senior classmate. The scene shifts back to training. Ellie runs quickly, using her power against Alan, but he easily blocks her. Tina also strikes him with a powerful ice magic attack, firing shots at him like a 20mm multi-shot machine gun. He tries to evade them, as they are fired haphazardly. Then he uses the tightening ability and a light bomb. They try to attack him, having agreed that if they could land a direct hit with any shot, they would win. Indeed, Tina finally hits him with a shot and he congratulates them on their victory. They wanted to continue, but he tells them, "That's excellent work today. Your final test is tomorrow. You need to rest and conserve your energy." The scene moves to Alan in the library, reading a book. Perhaps he's searching for something and remembers what happened, or what the bird told him when he ascended to the upper layers. We don't know what it was, or what that was. He wonders at that moment. He turns around and finds Tina behind him. He asks her, "What brings you here at this hour of the night?" She tells him she couldn't sleep, so she decided to visit her plants to lift her spirits. Then saw the light on and knew he was in the library, so she came to see him. "But excuse me," she says. "If I fail tomorrow, does that mean I won't go to the royal capital?" He tells her, "I'm confident things won't come to that." You and Ellie will surely succeed by God's grace, she says. Let me tell you a small story. When I was little, I always begged my mother to read me that picture book and talk to me. I told you I adore the great spells used by legendary heroes. I saw their pictures in that book. The burning lion, the fiery being, the little storm-hunting bird, the ice bird that freezes everything? Or perhaps more accurately, the ice crane bird. It's supposed to take the form of an extinct crane. Alan now begins to ponder her words as she tells him, "You're the first one I've told this to, Master. I've grown very attached to you." Alan, lost in thought, says to her, "Thank you for telling me these things. Look at this book." When she opens it, he tells her, "I've found many clues on that page and in some other books as well. Always the basic formulas for ice spells, and the last page of every book bears the same royal seal. I don't know your mother personally, but I believe, looking at the notes she left, I can clearly see how much she cared for the children who would live after her. In fact, the formula I'm teaching you is taken from these notes, with some modifications from me." Tina cries and hugs him. He tells her, "Don't cry, little one. You will win that battle in the test, and you will succeed, and you will go to the Royal Academy." The girl becomes excited, saying, "I will definitely do that." The next morning, Tina and her maid go to the test. Alan tells them, "No need to worry, you will succeed, but you must focus." Then they enter the place and find the head maid waiting for them, who tells them, "This way." She then gives Miss Tina a staff that belonged to Lady Rosa. "She left it in my care and asked me to give it to you when you learned magic. Forgive me for not delivering it to you until today." The head sorceress cries, saying, "Finally, I've completed the last task she entrusted me with." Then they leave and walk to the location. He tells them, "This is the gentleman who will be your opponent today, who is wearing a mask, my friends. I believe this is Tina's father. Do you also think so?" Alan was sitting and thinking, "Who is this person? But there's a perception bleaking spell on this mask. Perhaps I will know who this person is," he says. The person tells them, "If you want to enter the academy exam, you must defeat me. Face me with all your strength. I have erected a large barrier, so do not hold back your power." They begin the fight, and it is very fast. They use elements. Ellie and Tina were indeed strong. It's a perfected and organized formula. Tina unleashes her powerful spells on her instructor, but he remains unfazed. The instructor then charges at her with his power, but Ellie intervenes, saving her. Both girls then combine their strength for a fierce attack. The instructor retaliates with an advanced spell, Dual Ice Pillars. Ellie impulsively decides to use her power to strike them, but Tina stops her, reminding her they must follow their teacher's instructions. The girls then use their magic to block the Dual Ice Pillars launched by the instructor. Alan is amazed as Tina is using spells he never taught her. This truly shows their dedication and proves they are ready for the Royal Academy exams. Tina asks the gentleman to concede defeat, as they have clearly won. He responds that he never expected them to reach this level. Ellie urges him to surrender immediately and unconditionally, stating there's no need for further resistance. However, the gentleman refuses, explaining he cannot offer anything less than his absolute best. He then unleashes a mighty spell to strike them. The girls use their combined power to create a barrier to defend against the attack. Alan, seeing this, fears for them, knowing the barrier won't last long. He warns everyone watching the match that they are in danger and should flee, stating he will go to rescue the girls. He asks Ellie's grandfather to take over as the judge, even though he knows it will be extremely dangerous, but he is accustomed to such situations, whether good or bad. The gentleman then taunts the girls, calling them foolish for not realizing their teacher hadn't instructed them to attack when the opportunity arose. He then uses that spell, shocking Tina, as she believed only her father could use it. They are at a loss for how to counter such a power. Ellie declares that they will certainly find a way, for they are students of Professor Allen. Tina is invigorated by her words. They are determined to win and go to the Royal Academy. These are two of the Tinas that she just met, and precisely two for her to survive. However, their opponent summons a massive ice monster to attack them. Alan recognizes it as the Blizzard Wolf, the ultimate spell of the House of Howard. He instructs Mr. Graham to use the military barriers and send them to the professor to create a second barrier outside, as a precaution against any emergency. Mr. Graham immediately complies. Alan then heads toward the girls to help them, but they refuse his assistance, asking him to only observe. Ellie then remembers her teacher telling her that if she could use two types of magic at her age, her future would be incredibly bright. Ellie proceeds to do just that, with Tina assisting her. A massive aura of their combined power appears, and Tina strikes the wolf. But their opponent isn't finished. He melts the ice on the wolf, freeing it anew. He tells them that if they wish to resist, they must cast a spell on him. The wolf then strikes the girls, knocking them to the ground, but they are unharmed. Alan calls out to them, telling Tina he knows she has seen the formula for the Blizzard Wolf spell before. He knows she hasn't practiced it, but she must try to use it. Tina is afraid, but Alan reassures her, telling her she can do it no matter what. He then asks Ellie to support her. Ellie indeed helps her, unleashing a very powerful spell on their opponent. The wolf tries to charge at them but cannot reach them despite multiple attempts. After that, they unleash a great deal of mana on the gentleman and his wolf, managing to destroy the wolf and shatter the gentleman's spectacles. The two girls win the test and are sent to the royal capital. Alan accompanies them, sending a message to Lydia informing her of what transpired. At that moment, Ellie bids farewell to her grandparents, and Tina bids farewell to her father. He tells them their final exam was wonderful, and that he thought his daughter was Rosa, her mother herself. He then apologizes for everything, saying he was scared and couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Tina hugs him and tells him to take care of the plants in her absence. Afterward, they board the train to the royal capital. Tina's father asks Alan to take care of them, expressing great trust in him. Alan assures them, saying he will do his utmost to protect them. The train then departs for the royal capital. Thus ends today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, please like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all new updates.